Nancy? Sorry, but we're coming right back. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to hit you in the arm.
You missed.
Well, I mean, that's why I shouldn't have a gun.
That's exactly right.
More than 4 million across Ohio will travel this week into next, driving 50 miles or more.
I'm Russ Mitchell.
Forget about a white Christmas. ONN meteorologist Jeff Booth says temperatures of 50 and up will be common across the state on December 25th. Cincinnati and other areas of southern Ohio might reach the 60s. I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network.
Calls and conversations continue in less than 3 minutes as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
Introducing our new redesigned 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tap, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Are you traveling? Working a little bit too much? Is your fur baby starting to get a little shaggy? Let Dirty Paws be your one-stop shop for all of your pet care needs. Stop in and see us at 202 18th Street or give us a call at 304-639-7754 to schedule your appointments for dog grooming, doggy daycare, and dog boarding today.
This holiday season, give family and friends the gift of a night out at West Banco Arena and Capitol Theater. With tickets and gift certificate offerings, there's something for everyone. Call 304-233-7000. That's 304-233-7000.
Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer are advancing a radical agenda, including overriding state laws and putting our elections in the hands of federal bureaucrats. Now the Washington extremists want to eliminate the legislative filibuster because it stands in the way of their radical policies. The filibuster is a bedrock Senate tool ensuring bipartisan cooperation for over a century. Ending the filibuster would mean more extremism and dysfunction. Thankfully, Senator Joe Manchin pledged to uphold the filibuster, saying, quote, under no circumstance would he vote to weaken or eliminate it. But Manchin is under immense pressure to cave to partisan extremists. If Manchin sides with liberal elites in New York and California by weakening the filibuster with carve-outs for Democrats' priorities, he would violate the trust of voters. Thank Senator Manchin for standing strong. Tell Manchin to keep his word and honor his promise by protecting the legislative filibuster. Paid for by the Election Transparency Initiative.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Clouds and sunshine mixing on a rather cold afternoon, a daytime high of 32, the overnight low of 21 degrees under partly cloudy skies, partly to mostly sunny for your Thursday, with highs in the low to mid-40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
It all comes down to this.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas? It's Christmas.
Santa's making a list and checking it twice.
Give toys to everyone, whether they're naughty or nice. Christmas!
Sees you when you're sleeping.
And he knows when you're awake. Watching to see if I'm naughty, are you? Have you been naughty or nice this year?
In my personal opinion, very nice.
I've been naughty.
It's showtime!
This is a great conversation for the holidays or any time of year. You're listening to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
It's a cold morning this morning, and we actually have hit our high, which actually has dropped from before, but the high that Aaron is giving us is 32, and we're at 32 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 31 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 32 and even freezing as well at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. That 32-degree temperature feels like 22, so it is definitely a cold day today. Warm up a little bit to the 40s tomorrow, 50s on Christmas Eve, and pushing close to 60, the higher 50s on Christmas Day. Christmas Eve into Christmas morning, we will see some rain showers. And yes, or no, I guess is the word. Yes, we will have no snow. Wasn't that song? Yes, we have no bananas. Yes, we will have no snow on Christmas. So be aware of that. Coming up, Poppy Kirchwell in a minute or two. We're going to talk about Joe Manchin again. A lot of people in D.C. think they're going to somehow squeeze him, force him, change him. I think Hoppy's going to tell us that ain't going to be the case. Hoppy, as you all know, has become the Manchin whisperer, so we'll talk to him in a minute or two. The Washington Center for Budget and Policy is among the groups that in West Virginia that have been pushing hard for Manchin to vote for the Build Back Better bill. We'll see what they're going to do now. Kelly Allen, their director, is going to join us a little bit later on. And I want to start off real quick before I get to Hoppy with some COVID updates for you here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
COVID-19 update.
We are seeing a COVID surge around the country and somewhat of a one here in our area as well. Military troops are expected to begin arriving in Wisconsin and Indiana this week to help healthcare workers at hospitals overwhelmed by the surge in COVID-19 cases. New testing sites are going to be opening up in New York City. The federal government ordering another 500,000 at-home testing kits to be distributed for free so testing can be done at home. These are some of the things announced by President Biden yesterday to deal with the uptick in COVID-19, in particular concerns and fears over the Omnicron virus. Some infectious disease experts say that there's no real way they know right now to keep Omnicron from spreading. The good news is it is not as serious an illness if you get it as Delta or the other COVID cases, but it also spreads much more quickly. So that's the great concern there. You remember earlier this week, the Washington Hospital Association said that they're greatly concerned. Hospitals are getting filled to capacity. It's not so much more COVID cases, although there are more COVID cases. It is short staffing. They don't have enough nurses, basically, to help out. Governor Justice yesterday said that 1,700 nurses around West Virginia did not renew their licenses last year. And 68% of them said the reason was not because of the vaccine mandate. Some of you are going to claim that. 68% of the nurses who didn't renew their license said they're just tired. The last couple of years have just worn them out. So Governor Justice is devoting $48 million of that federal money still left over to spend to, he hopes, attract 2,000 more nurses in West Virginia. Now, and that's good. It's a period sentence. Good. I'm glad. But here's the reality. They say that's a 4-year project. It doesn't really help the immediate crush the hospitals have. There will be additional money coming in. That's the $48 million the governor has set aside from the CARES money. It'll help fund the West Virginia nursing scholarship program, develop some kind of a loan repayment program, and improving the training programs. It's going to be in effect at several of the community colleges, Concord University, Glenville State College, Bridge Valley Community and Technical College. I do not see anything up in this area that's going to get help from that, but that was the governor's proposal yesterday as Omnicron and general hospital concerns are rising in West Virginia. The governor said that the Hospital Association is expecting the highest number of COVID patients since the pandemic began during this holiday season, and of course the vast number of them unvaccinated. $48 million for that project, good thing. I'm not at all criticizing, that's good. Still leaves almost $70 million left, I think somewhere in that range, in that CARES money where the clock is ticking. It has to be spent by the end of the year. It is a use it or lose it proposition. The students from WVU are still hoping to have a chance to meet with the governor and talk about maybe some of that money being used for mental health services at higher education facilities around the country. We had Azim Khan with us here a few weeks ago talking about that. And the Student Government Association released a statement yesterday saying that they are, quote, disappointed the Governor Justice did not include mental health funding in his announcement on nursing programs. So they've asked once again for a meeting with the governor and his team to try to talk about that. That is the latest COVID update. Want to make sure you had that. 8:16, Watchdog Morning Show for a Tuesday. No, it's not a Tuesday. It's a Wednesday. I think I'm just trying to stretch out Christmas week a bit. For a Wednesday morning, the director of the Washington Center on Budget and Policy, Kelly Allen, coming up in the next half hour to talk about how they're refocusing their efforts on Build Back Better. I don't know what they're going to do in the wake of Senator Manchin's claims. Hill newspaper had a story yesterday I found very interesting. Democrats set to play hardball with Manchin. Senate Democrats are signaling they plan to take a hardball approach to pressure Joe Manchin to support their climate and social spending agenda. Democrats are threatening to drive a wedge between Manchin and his many lower-income constituents who could reap billions of dollars in federal benefits if Build Back Better passes. So they want to play hardball with Manchin. I asked the Manchin whisperer, Hoppy Kercheval, to come here and join us this morning. My guess is the people that think they're going to play hardball with Manchin will be sadly disappointed. What do you think?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, by doing what? Sending more kayakers. I mean, a couple things. One is that, yeah, clearly you can play hardball and you can go, Manchin hates children or whatever. I mean, you can go that route. Manchin is starving children. But, every time, a couple things here. One is that the last poll I saw showed Manchin's numbers actually going up, and I think that's reflective of two things, Howard. I think that's reflective of there is a middle in West Virginia. I'll get to the right and the left in a minute, but there is a middle that I think believes, we have done a lot during this COVID pandemic, and this is a really big bill, and it's not fully paid for, and it probably will contribute more to inflation and the debt, and, we should have a work ethic, and is just hesitant about it, and so it probably sort of leans Manchin on that. And then there are folks who are sort of right-center who voted for Trump over Biden, and they think that Manchin's going to cave, and he doesn't. So they go, wow. And the text I get, like, wow, I never liked Manchin, or I thought he was going to cave, and now he stood up for West Virginia. So and then there's a third segment, as I overgeneralize, that's progressives in West Virginia, which is, you lead that group, that small leftist group in West Virginia that is is truly bothered by this, but it's not I don't think it's the majority. So I think 2 out of the 3 groups are sort of in Manchin's corner here. So if you come in and, lambast Manchin, I think it's going to really fire up, the left or the far left. But that group is not big enough to make a significant difference in Manchin's thinking, in my opinion.
This group of Democrats, and I don't know that the Hill identifies who they are, but anyways, we're going to, quote, play hardball, that was the phrase he used with Manchin, are going to do it by trying to show how much money would have come into the state and would have helped lower and middle income people if Build Back Better had passed. And I believe that to be true, and I believe it's a good thing. I know you have some differing opinions on that, which we can talk about in a minute. But but here's the problem.
Yeah.
We have discovered in this state, best example of it right now is the fight between Mooney and McKinley over the infrastructure bill.
Mm-hmm.
Dave McKinley says, hey, I voted for this bill because it's going to bring good things to the state. And Mooney says, yeah, but it's a bad bill and it's Biden's bill. And it looks to me like Mooney's getting the support right now. So the logical argument that one would try to make, that I think these Democrats will try to make, is, geez, can't you see what we're going to do for you? The response, I think, is going to be, we don't care. So I don't think that technique is going to work. Here's a
better approach. Rather than, Howard, sometimes if the answer isn't yes, the answer is no. And okay, what are the things that are really important? Is it the expanded child tax credit? Okay, how can you craft that in a way that you at least get Manchin and maybe some bipartisan support, right? Do you lower the cap of the eligibility? Do you have a work requirement? Which Manchin insists upon? Do you do some of those things? So there's still the income, the child tax credit, but it's changed some. Pre-K, I mean, Manchin's always said he's for that. I mean, these other things. I think you could break this thing out and get stuff passed with the have a better chance of getting stuff passed in the regular order of business and pass some bills. I mean, Howard, come on, get to work, have individual legislation, put it in a committee and get it passed.
I'm philosophically with you. I'm philosophically with Manchin on this idea of bipartisanship and compromise. And I think that your suggestion of doing it piecemeal makes that a little bit easier. On the other hand, I've argued for the last year or so that we are so divided, especially in the Senate, over politics, not over policy, that my comment always has been, if we both want to achieve the same goal, we just have different roads to get there, we can figure out how to make the road work. The goal of an awful lot of Republicans right now is purely to make sure that Biden doesn't get a win.
Right.
And, you know, so that becomes a problem looking for compromise. But I do agree, you know, my philosophy for years has been when there's a sticky issue, get all parties in a room. I don't sound like Manchin, but get all parties in a room with a little yellow legal pad, write down all of the things that everybody wants to do, and then look and say, okay, we agree on this. Oh, I think we could do this. If I did this and this, then we could come closer to that. And take the things you can do and get them done. And leave things that you can't do for another day.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, and I think that that's the way that this is supposed to work. In fairness, it probably won't work that way because of what you pointed out of the tribalism of Congress. But what you could do is you could acknowledge that this bill, as it exists, is not going to pass. You know, and say, okay, like I said, what do you really want? And get to Manchin and say, how do we get you to yes? How do we get you to yes? And then do those things. You know, I think that this democratic idea that, well, you just don't understand enough. You just haven't heard the arguments enough. It's not working. And after a while, it frankly becomes patronizing and tiring.
Just as I think that there is an intransigent right that's going to vote against a Biden bill no matter what Biden supports.
Right.
There is the problem with what you and I are suggesting is there is an intransigent far left wing that is just as strident about their issues. So you get a compromise bill or you get little pieces of these bills. The AOC side of Congress is probably going to balk and say, no, we're not going to support them because we want the whole thing, or we want all the climate issues and the other stuff that you don't want to do. We're going to insist on it. So then they're going to be playing the same role that I think the Republicans play right now, which fold your arms. We're just not going to do it.
You're right, Howard. I think you're absolutely right. So you know what? It is then. Okay, then elect more progressives. Okay.
Right.
So, get rid of Mooney or McKinley or whatever, and elect, maybe not in West Virginia, but elect more progressives. Elect more Republican senators. Democratic senators.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wonder if in West Virginia, I've been talking to some political type people. Some are saying, we just got to forget West Virginia. We in West Virginia, those who are progressive, turn our efforts to getting more progressives elected someplace else where it's more likely, because it's not likely to happen in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And get the Senate into a better position.
Okay.
I don't know.
Elections have consequences, so go do that. If you can't get what you want, and you're not willing to give ground to get what you want, then you're going to have to change the dynamic. Okay.
Right.
So, and I think this ongoing, stamping your feet, and, you ever have an argument with your spouse, Howard, where you're saying, you're repeating the same thing because I lose most of my arguments, and you say, no, what I'm saying is, and then she says, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I disagree.
Yeah.
I heard you the first 3 times you said it.
Excuse me. Now, I thought it was interesting, and I think this also came from the Hill yesterday. They say that President Biden says he still has hope for Build Back Better, and the quote that I liked here is from Joe Biden. Senator Manchin and I are going to get this done.
If you got, again, I'm sort of out on a limb here. I think if you got Manchin and Biden in a room, like we talked about, I think they could get it done. But according to Manchin, and we've heard this frankly, from Capito and from others. I was talking to a national reporter this morning. They said, yeah, we hear this all the time, that you get in a room with Biden and say, oh, okay, we can work something out here. And then when whatever they think they worked out comes back as a framework after it has been reviewed by Biden's advisors, who apparently are farther to the left than Biden, it looks different.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from several different sources and confirmed on a national level. Like, well, wait a minute, that's not what we talked about. Well, that's what it's going to be. And that's a problem, Howard. That's a problem.
And Senator Manchin was, pretty clear. Maybe he wasn't pretty clear, but he was strongly indicating that in his interview with you earlier this week. And then you pushed him on a little bit, which is good. You know, he said they know where the problem was, and it's not Biden. And then he eventually basically said this is the staff that's the problem. So
right.
Manchin has kind of confirmed that to you. So you and I have talked. I talked yesterday with a couple of our political consultants here on this show. I heard you talking to Gary Abernathy and I think Steyerwalt and others this week. We all have ideas on what could be done. What do you think will be done?
Oh, Howard, I think both you and I would like to see things. There's stuff in there I like too. I mean, I think there's stuff that if you and I got together, say, yeah, we could, agree on that. And I'd like to think that's the way it is. However, being an election year and with the polarization, I'm just gonna. If you ask me to force me to guess, I'd say nothing happens.
I tend to think you're right.
It's going to be, we really can't agree. Let's wait till after the election now. But for Democrats, however, if they wait till after the election, they might be in the minority and have no chance to do anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want my Democratic friends to get angry with me, but I think that is more likely than the other scenario in the next election. So that's the whole dynamics could change, which is why if there is room for compromise on a smaller bill, much more moderate bill, I'm not saying this would make me happy, but if you're the left wing of the Democratic Party, if you're the AOC wing of the party, you have the Bernie Sanders wing in the Senate, you've got to begin to recognize this is you're not going to get a shot again. If you can get this passed, you might be able to garner some support by saying we managed to do something. If you can't get this passed, you're not going to have a chance to do it next year or when the offices change, because you're no longer going to have control. You barely have control in the House, and you only have control in the Senate because Harris votes your way. So this is it. This is it, guys. It's all or nothing right now. Whatever you can get it now, ride it politically, and maybe you can grow your margin of victory.
You're right. Howard, again, all the pressure on Manchin. Manchin's the guy, linchpin. He's the guy who's stopping this. Who do you think, again, a generalization, who do you think more represents the broad swath of America? Is it Joe Manchin or is it Bernie Sanders? Is it Joe Manchin or is it AOC? If you want to put it in that form, I would argue it's Joe Manchin.
Yeah, I don't like being put in that position because I'm not sure that Manchin represents the broad swath either exactly, but certainly I think he represents more. Americans they're not all like me.
No, I mean I understand. Radical. I'm just saying that if you talk about the great middle.
That you look at the Sanders of the world, whom I have a great deal of respect for. You look at AOC, who I respect her political skills and her smarts, not so much her tactics sometimes. They're not mainstream America. They're not.
No.
Certainly not mainstream West Virginia. Again, Joe Manchin, I'm not sure he's truly the moderate that you're implying. But given the choices, Manchin probably is more representative. I want to ask you one last question about Manchin, because I know you have to run. Because you probably got CNN knocking on your door.
No, Howard, the 14 hours of fame has expired. So I'm.
Come on, you were wearing a suit coat yesterday, Hoppy.
I know. Like that was it. Suit coat and makeup. Now the suit coat's hanging in my office, and I've watched the makeup off, so that's okay. We've moved on.
But you're hoping. You're just hoping.
No, it was. Whatever. Howard. Like I say, we've been around a long time, and the beast gets fed, and then otherwise the beast feeds on you, and then you move on to the next thing. Right?
So we've talked a lot on this show the last 48 hours about What is the real motivation behind Joe Manchin here? And there's been all kinds of speculation. You have pointed out what he seemed to say, which is he was offended by the staff. There are, a lot of left-wing folks are saying he's bought and sold for by big pharma and big coal and big energy and so on. A lot has been made about, I think Bette Midler said he represents this poor, illiterate state, and some people are saying, well, Manchin himself said he thinks people will steal the child care money and use it for drugs and take their family leave and go hunting. You know him as well as almost anybody. What do you truly think, in your heart of hearts, what do you really think is going on in Manchin's mind?
Well, that's a dangerous question, because it's Manchin's mind. I think there's a lot going on up there. But I'm going to give you an Occam's razor answer that is the simplest explanation is the most likely, and that is that he told me a story one time. One of his motivation of politics was when he was 12 years old. He was watching the inauguration. You'll have to check the ages. I was watching the inauguration of John F. Kennedy. And he was watching because his uncle, A. James Manchin, was there. And Kennedy says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And Manchin, I think, has that as if not a guiding principle, a principle that you can't just get stuff. That there has to be, for example, a work requirement, that you can't just continue to force the country into debt, that you have an obligation to the country to do these things. And I know that people are rolling their eyes and saying, you got to be kidding me, you've been buffaloed. But I think that's a driving force. I think the concern about the debt and what it's doing to the country, about inflation and what it does to people, about the fact that there should be some work requirements in the child tax credit, about that you shouldn't just send checks to people like old-fashioned welfare. I think that weighs very heavily on him, and I think that's one of his I think that's a primary motivating force. Now, you can stop rolling your eyes. Oh, there's always politics. I mean, my goodness, we're in it's a political business, right? But, if it were, I don't know how much. I mean, you always have political considerations. But I also think he's to the point where, like, what the hell? I mean, it's not up till 2024. Maybe he doesn't run again. What the heck?
My best guess is he will, but that's strictly a guess. I haven't talked to him. But the key, he's not up for election this year, so there's plenty of time for healing, forgetfulness, whatever, to take over before his next election. So it's good. I saw where Patrick Morrissey actually tweeted. I forget how he phrased it, but essentially he praised Manchin. Didn't use that word, but he basically said Manchin did the right thing. I expect that tweet will come back if Morrissey runs against him. In the next. Did you ask Morrissey if he's running? By the way, I didn't get to.
I didn't. I kind of joked with him yesterday. And I said, "So, are you, singing Manchin's praises today?" It's like, well, I don't know.
That's good. Well, it'll be interesting when that time comes as well. All right, Hop. I haven't had a chance to check out your lineup for today. I assume you'll do some Manchin conversation.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Howard.
What else are you doing?
Much to the consternation of much of my listening audience, which is never a good idea, we're going to talk more about COVID and about the increasing pressures on the hospitals in this state, which I think all this is real, about the president's plan, which I think is a good plan, President Biden. Hey, Howard, something I brought up, I did a poll on, and I asked you about it. I'm going to have you on the show today. And I'm a sucker for these kinds of things, frankly. And when the president said yesterday, getting vaccinated is your patriotic duty, I almost stood up and saluted. I believe that. I believe that there is, even if maybe you have concerns about it or whatever your rationale is, but, this is a time where we're truly all in this together because it is a virus that spreads. And if you want to do something to help your country and countrymen, it would be to get vaccinated, get the booster, and to practice safety, health and safety measures. I think I thought it was interesting. He said, no, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's your patriotic duty. I thought, don't apologize for it. Just own it. I think he's right, and I think it is.
Yep. Last question, quick answer. I hate to bring it up. but apparently I outed you a few weeks ago. I didn't mean
You
to.
did.
Christmas tree up yet? Christmas tree up yet?
Howard, at 8:37 on, what's today, Wednesday? On Wednesday morning,
Yes.
December 22nd, the tree is not up. The tree is not up. Houston, the tree is not up. Not sure it's going to go up. Not sure we're going to make it. Not sure.
Biff didn't
Doesn't look
decorate much, but Biff does. He did get he was gifted a small tabletop tree. I think a wreath, Biff. So you got that, maybe a nativity scene or something. So you get a couple of things in your house, right? You at least have a little tree up now, right, Biff?
Yeah, but immediately at the Epiphany, it's going down.
What is wrong with you guys? All right, Hop, I gotta run. I'll talk to you later.
But the spirit of Christmas lives on at the Kirchhoff household.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, Hobby. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard. Bye-bye.
All right, it's 8:36, 22 to the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show, and we're going to continue talking about Joe Manchin and Build Back Better with Kelly Allen from the Washington Center on Budget and Policy. That's coming up after we check some headlines for you right now.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your look.
And then this past weekend, Westminster of Pennsylvania. They've got balanced scoring, 5 players averaging in double figures, and they defend well, giving up just 66 points per game. Unique start time tonight. 6 o'clock is the tip instead of the normal 7. So our pregame begins at 5 p.m. this evening, and the ball goes in the air at 6 o'clock right here on MSN. We invite you to join us. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
The Watchdog Network wants you to take time for yourself and your family this holiday season and enjoy some of the events around our valley. Buy local and escape the hustle and bustle of retail holiday shopping by visiting Ogilvy Institute's Holiday Art Show and Sale. They're open through December 23rd at the Stifel Fine Arts Center and at the Schrader Center in Ogilvy. Happy holidays from the Watchdog.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
There's no room for quitters on a job site, not on the crew and not in the toolbox. When a job gets tough, I respond with force. My Master Force tools deliver power, performance, and durability that doesn't quit. Tools like my 20-volt cordless hammer drill. The brushless motor technology in that drill gives me up to 30% more power and 1.5 times the battery life. Professionals need tools they can rely on. Master Force tools, available at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Our countdown to Christmas continues on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe on AM 1600 and 1370.
A couple of real quick local notes I want to put on the table just so you're aware of them. We'll delve into these later in the week. Well, we don't have a lot later in the week to go. We have one more day this week, but we'll get into these at some point. Moundsville Council last night selected their new mayor. It's a yearly thing. They select a mayor from among the council members who were elected. Judy Hunt will be the new mayor of Moundsville for the coming year. She seemed very excited and talked a lot about some exciting things happening in Moundsville. We'll be following maybe her, see if we can get her on sometime soon to talk about that. And Wheeling City Council last night, after spending many weeks here talking about parking garages and buying Clay School and lots of sort of hard projects to deal with and huge expenditures of money. Have now heard a lot of talk about the Crown Act, this act that some councils in West Virginia and others around the country have enacted prohibiting discrimination based on a person's hairstyle, in particular race-based hairstyles. And so they heard from some people last night who are encouraging the council to approve a Crown Act and also encouraging council to put into effect a conversion therapy ban. I'm not going to get into any of that right now. It's put on the table for you so you know about it. We'll get, but I will suspect Mayor Elliott will probably talk about that today on his show this afternoon here on the Watchdog. At noon every Wednesday, of course, Mayor Elliott and Vice Mayor Chad Thalman have your wheeling, no two ways about it. So tune in. They'll probably talk about that, and we'll get him on in the near future. Now, boy, I said at the beginning of the show, I get so much to do, and I'm just not getting everything done. I want to get quickly now to Kelly Allen, who is the director of Washington Center on Budget and Policy, and talk more about Manchin. Good morning, Kelly. Thank you for waiting. I apologize for keeping you so long.
Hi, Howard. Good to be here.
So just real quick, you're back at work after being a new mom, right?
Yeah, I've been back for about a week. I have a 10-week-old little boy.
And you had the pleasure, I'm going to assume it's a pleasure, of actually being able to stay home and spend time with him under some maternity leave, right?
Yeah. Our office has paid leave for our staff of up to 12 weeks for new babies or illnesses or having to caregive for a sick family member. So I was able to take that time off and not have to worry about paying my bills while I was off. And
wouldn't it be nice if everybody had that option?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not just an employee there, but I'm also the employer technically. So I know kind of, what it costs us to be able to offer paid leave. And I think, if there were a national program that we could buy into or, was paid for through tax contributions rather than us having to carry the full freight of the cost of somebody being out, we actually would have spent less.
Yeah. The paid leave part of the bill was taken out, I think, of Build Back Better. It'd be nice. To me, that was an important part of it. But there were a lot of things in there still of importance. You guys have been arguing for it for a while. What was your reaction to Senator Manchin's announcement on Saturday that he just wasn't going to, he couldn't, what did he say? I can't get there. He's just not going to vote for it?
Yeah, well, I was really surprised and disappointed to see that. The programs that are in the Build Back Better Act, there was still actually 4 weeks of paid leave in it, whittled down from 12 weeks. Okay. But the programs that are part of it, paid leave, investments in child care infrastructure, the continuation of the CTC, the child tax credit, which we really see as the cornerstone of this, and a bunch more programs would have really outsized benefits for West Virginians. In no state are there more kids that qualify for the child tax credit than in West Virginia, where 93% of kids qualify for this enhanced child tax credit. So
that's a staggering number at 93%. That's a huge number.
Yeah, absolutely. So Senator Manchin is, thinking about his constituents and wanting to bring home the best deal for them. This seems like a really good deal for West Virginia families. So I'm fortunate to see him say that, and we really hope he's not walking away from the table, and we'll continue these negotiations in the new year.
Well, what do you see as the best option going forward? Do you think? I mean, the bill is set for a vote in January. Is a revision of the bill going to happen? I'm just asking your opinion. Do you think Manchin can be persuaded to change his mind? Or do you suggest maybe that it ought to be taken down piecemeal and individual pieces played? I don't know. I'm not sure what the best option is. What do you think?
I'm not sure either. I mean, I try not to get into the political intrigue of it. Obviously, there are some negotiations that need to happen, but the bill's already been cut from, $3.5 trillion sliced in half down to 1.75. And that is, that's an eye-popping number, and that's what we hear in headlines, but that's fully paid for. Over the first 10 years, it's fully paid for, and actually in the second decade, it would have a net reduction on the deficit. So we're talking about programs that would largely benefit families across our state and would actually reduce the deficit in the long term. So I think, I want to see this program in its entirety get across the finish line. I think it's already been cut and cut. We just talked about paid leave being cut from 12 weeks to 4 weeks. But all we can do is keep talking to Senator Manchin, keep trying to make sure that he's hearing from families who've benefited from the child tax credit and who would benefit from the other programs. That's all we can do for now.
The national media has picked up a lot on stories from West Virginia of individuals who have already been helped. That's the point I've been making over and over again here. The child credit that has already been in effect under the previous legislation, which will expire next year if they don't extend it, has already proven itself to work. I mean, we have numbers that show it's bringing lower and middle income people, children in particular, up out of poverty, or at least getting them closer to getting out of poverty. We have numbers that show it works, and yet it apparently isn't resonating with some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So since July, because of the American Rescue Plan, most households with children in West Virginia and across the country have been receiving $250 to $300 per child per month. And we've seen in the data and in surveys that families are using that to pay for basic household needs. In West Virginia, over 90% of households surveyed said they're using that to pay rent or mortgage, put groceries on the table, buy clothing, pay utilities. So this is really helping families get by in what's a tough time, and frankly, lots of families were having a tough time even before the pandemic. So in January, those payments will no longer be coming. Those payments per child will not drop into folks' bank accounts who in many cases have come to rely on them to pay the bills and to make ends meet. And I just was thinking about this morning. I remember during the ACA repeal fight around the Affordable Care Act, Senator Manchin said, I heard him say it several times, folks in West Virginia might not know who voted to give them health care, referring to the Medicaid expansion, but they would certainly know who had voted to take it away. And I keep thinking about that in terms of the child tax credit. Now that folks are getting that, they're certainly going to know why it's no longer coming in January.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Part of the problem I see, though, is in West Virginia, and I don't mean to be disparaging, but the political climate, I guess I'll call it political climate, is such that I don't know that showing that the actual value of programs to people convinces them that they want to support it. I mean, I've also been comparing it to the ACA in the sense that when you said to people, do you support Obamacare? They said no. And then when you talked about the Affordable Care Act and began to talk about what it does, they said yes. I see a lot of that at work here. People are saying it's a Biden bill, and therefore they're not talking about it, even though if you look at it and say, but wouldn't you be benefiting from getting this money? They would probably say yes. So, I mean, I think the political lay of the land is difficult in West Virginia right now.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I mean, when you talk to people about the individual provisions of the bill, child care investments, paid family leave, the child tax credit, they are very popular. But, perhaps because President Biden is quite unpopular here, the Build Back Better branding might not be so popular. But I think we know these individual programs would be really powerful for West Virginians, and people do support them. And I know Senator Manchin has said, he doesn't want new entitlement or new safety net programs, and he's worried about folks feeling this entitlement or not wanting to go to work. But many of these things are actually workforce supports. If you don't have childcare in your community, it's probably pretty hard to get a job. If you are pregnant and you don't have any job protections for when you have that baby, like paid leave, you might lose your job whenever you have a child, or if you have a sick parent that you have to take care of. So we see these as workforce supports and things to ensure that folks are able to make that balance between prioritizing family, which West Virginians do, and being able to go to work.
I think that's an extremely important point to make, that if we need to redirect the conversation away from free money, this is free money, to it allows families to be able to get work. I've said over and over again on this show, if you don't have a child care problem, you don't understand how big a problem child care is. When my kids were growing up, my parents watched them. my wife and I he's here right now, my wife and I watch our grandkid every day because we're here, we're the support system. But if you don't have that kind of support system, and if you don't even have childcare of any consequence in your community, what do you do? I mean, you have to stop and think about that. That becomes a workforce issue, and I think that's where we have to really focus a lot of our attention, is saying this isn't just helping people with money so they can, God help us, go hunting or buy drugs. This is so people can get jobs.
Exactly. And with the child tax credit is the same. You know, often people have a copay, even if they do have a child care subsidy. This could help folks pay for that. If you have a repair that needs done on your car and it's not running, a little bit of cash monthly, you know, can help you get that fixed. There's tons of research that shows that, you know, cash benefits or just helping people be a little bit more financially secure actually helps them, you know, go to work when you don't have those stresses that you can't get your car fixed or put gas in your car or put food on the table.
For people who want to get some more detailed information about the facts and figures of all this stuff, you've got really good stuff at your website, wvpolicy.org, and there's a lot more there. I hope this thing isn't dead yet, but we'll have to wait and see what form it may take.
Looking for a Christmas miracle.
Yes, always can do that. And have yourself a Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll probably talk again in the near future. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Kelly Allen is with the Washington Center on Budget and Policy. A lot of Manchin talk this week. Tomorrow, Dave McKinley weighs in. He's going to be with us tomorrow on the Watchdog Morning Show. So, Biff, I guess all things considered, I better come back for at least one more day. I'll be back at 7 o'clock. Are you back with me tomorrow?
I am back for a Thursday.
We're going to keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
We estimate that about 7.
All right, Biffy. It's amazing how much I didn't get in, which is okay. I think what we did was good. But I guess I'm getting over-prepared these days. I work too hard preparing, I guess. I should just stop. Just see what happens if we wing it. No, that's when nobody will call. I have nothing to talk about, and we'll be stuck. So I guess I won't wing it. But I am overbooked all the time anymore. So I guess that's okay. McKinley tomorrow. Maybe somebody else. I don't know, but I know McKinley is with us at 9:15 tomorrow. And other than that, I don't know, but we'll figure something out. Yes, plenty of time for things to happen. And if we're lucky, there will be some news of some kind that we can follow up on. Not bad news, just hopefully news. All right, I have to get ready to come down. We're having a little quick meeting today. I guess I'm doing Hoppy's show. That's what he said, although I don't have anything from him that tells me I'm doing his show, but that's okay. I'm around. So I'll do something. All right, if you need anything, I'll be down in a bit and we can talk then. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in the morning. All right, thanks for your help as always. I appreciate it. All right, bye.
Have demanded life sentences against 4 people accused of using a Russian-made missile in the downing of that Malaysian Airlines flight over eastern Ukraine in 2014. The Kim Potter jury about to begin deliberations again. They suggested on Tuesday they may be unable to reach a unanimous decision. This is ABC News.
Do you want to be a hero for the holidays? How about getting your loved one a new iPhone? That's right. Pure Talk has iPhone 12 starting at just $479 through the end of the year. And sure, they have 13